Welcome back to Finished Studio Apartment, or rather, Infinifactory. And that's exactly what we have to make. This is the name of the level. We make our own cell, essentially. Yes, so we got to figure out this. Now, there's a couple of things here. I've just put a basic conveyor in so you can see the problem. If I start this up, you'll see what I mean. This bottom area, the floor of our cell, studio apartment, is not welded to the top, and you can't just drop stuff onto it and they still stay there. Watch what happens. So you see, they just slide off. There's no friction in this world whatsoever, it seems. So we're gonna have to do the usual thing here of basically stopping things. So if I just send that out, it should push it all the way across and then stop. Yep. So that's gonna need to be amended. Although we've got our floor. And yes, of course, other stuff is then going out. Let's just restart that again. Let's just stop it to figure out where we need to put stuff. Okay, there we go. So we've got to put a sink on this side right here. So we can just start by maybe... in fact, I'm going to ignore that one. I'm going to leave myself a little bit more room. I really wish I could place things while it was in pause mode. But anyway... let's just place it out here. I've got to figure out where this is, so let's just let it roll again. It's going to stop, and how close am I? Oh, look at that. I'm actually on target. That makes a change. So, yep, let's just restart it again. Now, I need to bring in the bed, and it needs to be basically below this. So I'm going to probably have to bring it across and down. So maybe we bring it sort of this way. And sort of this way, and let's see what that brings us, or how far we are away. So off it goes, and we're one away. Okay, that's fine. We can just move that across one further, assuming that that's still correct. And yes, those two are now correct. Of course, the next one's going to come after them. So then we've got to get these pieces into the right place as well. And that's going to be a bit more of an issue, I think. How far off are we? We need to bring those across. And then, here's the thing. This needs to be welded into that. Maybe something we may want to do straight away, maybe? Interesting. What happens if I just bring this out? How far off are we? Yeah, we're at least one further far off. And there we go. So we want to probably weld the two together. And how can we weld things? How can we weld things one inside another? I think only at the back here, it seems. So maybe if we have them bringing out and then stopping, I'm going to have a welder right there. Okay. Like that. And then all I basically should need to do is drop it down one. In fact, I can do that straight away, I think. Yes. And then turn it that way. Yeah, let's try that. There it goes. So that's now welded inside. And that's ready to go. It's going to get pushed by the next one, but that's no good. So yes, once it's welded, we'll then need to basically bring it across and combine it with everything else. However, that's a bit of a problem. I think I'm going to need to figure out how to exactly do that. I think what we can probably do is grab the bottom of this. Well, as soon as it gets welded, no, maybe not. It has to be in place before I actually pull it across, and there's no way to do that I can think of. 1 second. So how about doing this with a sensor over here on this side? We can get a sensor in place like that. And we can get that to basically push the whole assembly once it actually gets there. Maybe? Yeah, because there's a block only there when this thing comes in to be welded. Okay, so that's going to trigger right around there. Okay, at this point we can then think about maybe shoving all of this over one. Or something along that kind of lines. Do we have room to do that though? Because, yeah, you see that block right there is... all of this is getting blocked, which is not exactly what we need. We're going to need to basically push this away somehow onto another belt. Yeah, this one is really tricky. I think the only way I can actually get this to work is to weld this to this later. Welding them together makes it really rather hard to grab onto them with something that can sense them at the exact time where everything's welded. So if I fit this into this, and don't weld it, then maybe that will actually help until I get a little bit later on. I can just, once this back plane is parallel to this one, then I can probably weld them. Or I can even think about doing it another way. Anyway, what I think I'm going to need to do is just shift this out and over one. So instead of going here, let's just watch it come out. There we go. So it's going to go to there. That's where everything else gets docked onto it. What I'm going to do is just shift it over one. And I'm going to do it after it passes here. So I'm going to get this to fall on top of it and then get welded. So if I get a couple of welders like there, you can see this is going to come out. And it needs to pass those welders and then be turned off into another direction. So why don't we just try that? I'm not sure how that's going to apply, how quick that's going to apply. Yep, that's going to continue to keep going, so we need to stop it at some point. So yeah, maybe we just want to put a block down or something like that. We can't put it there, can we? Maybe not. Nope, but that will stop it. So that's the right sort of place to actually stop it. Except I want to stop this a lot earlier. So let's just bring it in and turn it around, and let's see if we can get it to go across. Yep. Okay, so that's going to cross at the right point now. We can ignore all this for the moment. I'm just going to block those up. Okay. Yeah, that's nicely dealing with this problem, because we know we can solve both of those. That's not a problem. It's mainly these two. So I'm going to bring across, I think, get this to stop for a second. And I'm going to bring this one across and down onto this block right here. So we just want to go and turn this way. We can't do that because it's so big. We have to move that further out. We have to block it somehow. Not quite there. One further across. And one further across still. Yeah, that's exactly right. And if we just then get another piece there, that should lock into place. Yes, apart from this top section. So we need to get that into the right place there. And this needs to be then one further up, doesn't it? Yeah, let's get that going. So both of those will need to go in the right place. Which it will once this block is taken out of the place, and then we consider how we're going to get this thing to go into the right place. Maybe I'm just out of room and I need to move this a little bit further. Let's see. Okay, so that's welded, and then we just need to get this next thing welded as well. Okay, so that is going to be one block out, maybe? Yeah, one block out. We need to basically halt it somehow. Can I just put a block in? Whoops, not a block. Block in there. And will it get pushed across? It will. And will you get pushed over by the next thing? Do I need to do anything else? No, you're all out. Well, you're not welded, but you are close enough to being welded. And if we look at this side, we should see much the same thing. They should interlock. Yep. Okay. And that means I can then weld them any point from that point onwards. So let's just put the blocks there. And that should be this side all welded. At least once it passes these. Once it passes these, I should say they need to be one further in. So let's just say maybe there. Okay, that's too low. I'll clean the blocks up later, I promise. That should actually weld them as they go by. Yep. Okay, so they will get pushed by these. And there it goes. And that's now welded. Of course, the rest is ruined because the way it's going. But hey, we can think about that next. So next up, I need to basically get whichever block it is that this drops onto. And it's going to get pushed one further. So it needs to be probably that block right there. Okay, and then we'll bring this over. Maybe something like that. Okay, let's see how far away that is. And you're going to come in? Ah, that needs to be one further over. Yeah, so I do need to push them back by one. We can do that either with the pusher block, or we can just sort of set up these belts accordingly. I caused myself the same problem, but on the other side. Watch. if I look at where the bed comes in now, I've basically dropped it into the right place, but if I had that previous belt that pushed this thing sideways, then everything would go in the wrong place. So I wouldn't be able to put welders right here because everything would be problematic. So if I'm going to push everything that way to lock all those together, this side is going to have to be a pusher block. Unfortunately, I can't think of any other way of doing this, at least not by just regular nice blocks that I don't have to control flow with. So that just is going to need basically a couple of welders here, as we did before. Okay, and that should weld the bed in place. Okay, and then we're going to have to basically push this outwards, and we need to know basically a sensor I think is going to be here. So as soon as this is in place, yeah, as soon as this is in place, we can trigger something. But I don't need to check where the timing is for the sync. So let's just drop that in place as well, and we'll just bring this over and we'll just do it as quickly as we can. So it just needs to be like 3 blocks further out than the bed. So let's just give that a go. Is that in the right place? It is, and we will then basically put a block and a couple of welders here. Okay, which one drops down first? Good, it is going to be this one, and then this one is just going to trigger a pusher block straight away, and we should just be able to push that without any sort of connecting cable, I think. Let's see how that actually works. Pusher block. Okay, that's all connected. The next lot gets pushed in. Oh, success! Will it work for the second one? It will work for the second one. That is now working. Okay, good. And I've just got disconnected belts here that will then basically push it onto this belt, which then pulls it over, etc. And that is then connected. So fast forward it is, and let's see how bad or good we are compared to the rest of the community. 3, 4. There we go. Okay, so we are pretty much better on blocks than everyone else. Our footprint is the same as everyone else, and our cycle score is the same as everyone else. There are some people who got a significantly faster cycle. Not sure if that's... Let's just play that again. And the other thing I forgot to mention, by the way, is... sorry, let's just turn that off for a second. We can press P. I think that shows us the footprint, I assume. So any block that's shaded here counts. So yeah, we can think about actually optimizing that. However, let's see what happens if we up the rate to maximum. This is usually where things go incredibly wrong. Let's see what happens. So input rate. Yeah, you see they're all coming out up to 1. Yeah, that's not going to work, is it? So that's fine for now. We have a working solution for that one. There we go. And everything is now done in production zone 2. Input in resource site 526.81. That's all done. And that leaves us to a new puzzle in resource site 338.11. These catchy names, which is the niece chair. So let's just create a new solution. And this is, of course, we including lifter blocks. So yeah, that's our new block available. So let's just head up here and see what we've got available. Oh, looks like we've got a friend who's very lonely. Maybe.
Did you ever watch Star Voyager? Probably not. It ran for half a season on Fox before being unjustly cancelled.
Oh, Firefly.
I started an online petition about it, but then I got abducted by aliens. Is that ironic? Anyway, this place reminds me of that episode in the asteroid field. I wonder if the aliens even keep an eye on me. As long as I'm alive and making the weird knickknacks and things, they don't care. I could be down here having a party. Do they even know what a party is?
I guess not. Okay, so now we need to construct basically a 2x3 block with 2x2 and a 2x1 block on top and figure out a way to do that nicely. Interesting. I don't think there's any way to rotate blocks sort of this way. If there was, then you could build this out of 3 2x2 blocks, but that's probably not going to be the case. So, well, we know how to get the bottom ones sorted. It's how to get the others. We need to go figure out a way to do that. Is there anything in here? It's a little cave, very narrow cave. No, it's just like it's almost like a house. Yeah, very odd. Temple of some kind. Anyway, yeah, we need to set something up here. So the bottom section should be quite easy for us to do. We just got a couple of welders. That's going to weld them into 2 block chunks. And then we've got a rotator to spin them around. And then we've got a basic cue here and then something to weld them into a 2x3. So in they come. There's one, there's a second one, and there's a third one. Okay, you can see it's spinning them around and blocking them, but you can see that we're going to continue doing that if we don't do anything else. So we've got to consider doing something else, otherwise we're going to end up with this. Now, of course, if you had a way to selectively drill those, I guess you could build it out like this, but I'm not sure that's going to be such a good idea in terms of efficiency, particularly as well as we would need to control the drills somehow, otherwise it would just grind its way straight through that bottom layer as well. These side ones, it would be perfectly fine. You know, you could just put drills like, let's just put them there, for instance. Well, not there because it's going to drill through the first one as well, but you get the idea. We could push them onto drills and have it cut that section out. And then you could do the same thing here potentially with these 2 side pieces, but we need some other way of doing this. So maybe not drills, or maybe drills. We'll see how that actually goes once I figure something more things out. However, we need, if we're not going to use drills, to basically detect that the bottom's done and then divert everything else towards making the other pieces, or at least moving them into other areas. So remember what I said before, where this is actually made of 3 blocks of 2x2? I thought we'd go to actually do that, because it's actually a little bit nicer, I think, or, well, we'll see, but a little bit nicer than actually just building up the bottom block. So I split this into a 3-way splitter. So this comes in as before, and you'll see it gets blocked into 2 blocks of 2, and then this thing piles up like this. As soon as the third one comes in, it splits 3 ways. Okay, that's from our earlier puzzles, nothing really, you know, new there. And then if I just unpause this, you'll see that this one, okay, once the third comes in again, gets basically created into that piece right there, which leaves a block on top and a block on the side, both of exactly the same size, which we have right here. We have this block, and this is pretty much ready to just go on and in place. But you can see, unfortunately, we're running out of vertical room. Yes, so what we're going to need to do, I think, is basically put a... Well, we need another welder, first of all. I can't really flip them on end, so I have to have 2 sets of welders. And you can see here, this is also, if we're going to have both of these being both of those, at least one of them needs to be turned. And I think I'm going to go for turning these ones at this end, and then maybe welding them again. We could probably save some time if I can actually think about welding each of these 2 with 1 set of welders, but for the moment, let's just keep things simple and get that done. So I'm just going to unpause, and let's just put in one of our lifters. Okay, so that's a new block. So that should get pushed onto that. Let's just go onto there. Yeah, up it goes. So here it will get going there. And we need to go 1 higher than that, because that's when we need to actually weld all these together. So right here is where we need to weld, which is handy because there is a block available there for me to build on. And maybe put a couple of welders in place. And let's just see how close that is. That's 1 off. Okay, so let's just get that there, that there. That is the right place. And we now need to think about how to actually move those across. So that's going to go in. That's now welded. So at this point, we need to basically detect a block right here. It's going to detect a block and then a pusher block. So let's just get that right there. And this needs to push forwards. Now the problem here is that you can't just do that. You see where this comes in? It's going to get pushed up and welded here. If I push it 1 this way, it's not going to work. It's just going to still be over the lifter. And so we need to just flip those around. So let's just get the pusher block. It needs to push sideways. And then this block here will go that way. Okay. So now, once we have them both welded, it's going to push it sideways. Okay, and that will drop down, and of course we can then decide where we want it. In particular, we're going to want to have that going somewhere useful, so let's just bring that over here. How far off are we? So there's the first one, there's the second one, so it's 1 off and then 1 over, so let's just get that going, and like that. Like it is into the right place? Okay, almost. It just needs to be 1 for the back, or at least sort of around that kind of area. So fine, one further back it is. One there. And then we need to think about welding this all back together again. And that's going to be more of an issue. How am I going to weld that? Can I actually weld it at this end? I think I probably can. Block one and then 2 welders. Okay. Are you going to be welded? Sounds like it's got stuck somewhere. Oh, it has, yeah. I blocked something, clearly. What did I block? Ah, I blocked the rotation. Yep, I can't actually rotate without some more room. So yeah, I may have to build a little bit more room into this. That's fine, I guess. Maybe we can do it just spinning this around the other way. So let's just spin that around. And then, so this is going to come in lengthways and then going to come here. At which point I need to rotate it again. So it's going to be anti-clockwise rotation. And that will turn it, and then I will then have a block here, which will catch onto. And then something like that. Let's try it. Yeah, that's working as before. Okay, and then we can just put our welders back here. And it needs to be pushed forwards, of course, so that's going to be fine, I guess. We're going to have to figure out how to actually do that. That's in the way now, isn't it? Yeah, that's definitely in the way. We need to have this pushed one further over and then welded. Okay. Haven't tried this yet. Let's see if this is even close to working. I've got exactly the same thing here as I've got here, just slightly differently oriented. And then once we have it pushed over, it will drop down onto this conveyor, which will turn it. I'm not sure if that will get pulled in the wrong direction. We'll see in a second. And see if that actually drops in place. I think there's a sensor here that says when this last piece drops down, push this outwards, and let's see what happens. So split into thirds. Up they go. Okay, and the second piece is coming in for welding. Okay, so there's our first 2 pieces and welded. Third piece. Okay, and there's no welding yet, but it is pushed into the right place. So if I put, let's say, a piece here, can I actually get the final welding done here, maybe? And then maybe send it out this sort of way. Well, let's see how much room we've got once this gets going. And, you know, we'll just figure it out later. Start it up and just fast forwards. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so in they come and drop down. That's been welded, and that looks perfect to me. So now I just need to get them to the output, and I need to, well, basically I can actually save 1 piece of block there, because that's going to be just fine. And then this needs to come across somehow. We'll figure that out in a minute. And then how far off am I from here? Let's see if I'm off. Okay, fast forward. Ooh, I'm just 1 off. It does have to be 1 further across. That's just my mistake. Okay. And that should be everything. Although I need a minute to bring it actually further down. It may not have enough room there. Let me just drop it into place here. Let's put these further down. It's better. So, we are on +1 rate by now, by the way. We're not on max, but we are on +1. Okay. And it's predictable. Deterministic. That's exactly what we like when we're building something like this. And good. So we should be up for a score. This may be terrible, but hey, it's certainly working. And I do like the idea of splitting into thirds. That's giving me a good cycle score, in fact. Footprint score is a little bit larger. Maybe we can optimize that a little bit more. And block score is pretty much fine. So yeah, just to briefly recap, split into thirds. Each third is going to get welded. This one is going to get welded into a block of 4 flat. This one is going to get block of fourth vertical, and so is this one. That's where there might be an optimization, I suppose. And then the third one is just going to get turned, and everything is just going to get assembled here. Finally, the last piece is the longest one, the longest time that is, and that will then trigger this block, which will trigger that pusher to push it out onto a conveyor belt off to the center. Well, off to the end product. So yeah, I do quite like that. And exit to cell. And let's see what the next one brings. Okay, and I'm probably not going to have time to do this in this episode, so I'm going to leave this and let's just play the failure log.
I've had a lot of time to just think, being alone so much. I wondered about my job back on Earth. I was an industrial designer. I tested and designed paper towel dispensers mainly. I was just 4 months away from taking the licensing exam so I could be a professional paper towel dispenser designer. I don't even know what will come after this. Will I ever go home? Will I ever see my parents again? Or do something like watch Star Voyager? I can't think about all that now.
But Star Voyager was cancelled halfway through the first season. Yes, so I'm not sure about this one. There seems to be this one right here. Is this going to produce more stuff? Can we just basically create a pusher block? I mean, I'm not going to solve the puzzle, but I may as well just see if this actually works. Just because I'm going to run out of time more than anything else. There we go. That's not pushing anything. Unless we just trigger that from something else. Can we trigger it from something up here, maybe? So let's just put one of these down and center. Okay, and then let's just attach that to the top here. Yeah, it's certainly not pushing this block. So I don't know what's up with that. I need to actually go and look. In order to assemble this, we need 2 of these blocks and 4 of these. So you can see these are coming out. The solar cells, presumably. Yep, and we've got 2 of the intermediary blocks. Not sure what's going on there. The only thing I can think of is that we just got to weld this up. Something like that. If I just drop this into place like that, and then put a block down here, can we just set up a welder? Does that actually work? They don't appear to want to weld that block, so that's just very, very odd. I'm going to have to look at what that's actually doing. But if it did, then we could just weld it attached right there. And it would just... Yeah, it's definitely not wanting to weld that block. And I'm not sure how we're supposed to make them. Maybe I'm missing another sort of thing in here somewhere else. Don't see any other product line, any other inputs. So I'll have to do a bit of research. If you know, put it in the comments down below. And hopefully you enjoyed the episode. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Feel free to click the bell if you're a subscriber. And of course, put comments down below on how I can optimize things and make them a lot better. As always, guys, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time for some more Infinifactory.